Hello. I hope everyone's had a great start to the new school year. It really has been so good to welcome everyone back on campus in person. We recognize that the return to a more normal schedule has been a somewhat difficult transition. To help everyone better understand our schedule, the schedule that our faculty decided to return to this school year, I've put together this video. Hopefully, it helps clarify the purpose and really the benefits that it provides to our students. The majority of our structure, the structure of this schedule, remains the same as it was with the schedule we used prior to March of 2020 when we broke in-person classes with COVID at the end of the 2019-20 school year. Last year, to accommodate 6-foot distancing in all of our classrooms and other COVID-related protocols, including the minimization of transitions during the day, we had to make significant schedule changes specific to those circumstances. Our prior schedule included a rotation of classes over an 8-day cycle. Research shows that students benefit for a variety of reasons when there is a class rotation. Having the same class at the same time every day relegates that class to the time at which it falls on the circadian rhythms of students. The attention span, as you can imagine, of a class that meets right after lunch every day at a time when most of our students really would prefer a nap is very different than a class that meets at 9 o'clock in the morning. The rotation also assists when students have school-sponsored early dismissals for co- and extracurricular activities. Our current schedule maintains that same 8-day cycle structure that our previous schedule pre-COVID had. In the schedule, there's also a total of 8 academic blocks. This provides many benefits for our students as most of our students will take 6 classes and have 2 free periods. On occasion, students will take an overload with a 7th class, of course, which requires approval. And the biggest change to the schedule this year is the addition of a 6th academic period to that school day, which means a 6th class per cycle. In the previous version, there were only 5. By moving to an even number of classes, the pattern of the rotation is smoother and more easily understood. We saw this last year when we only had 4 classes per day. Previously, students would have to copy their schedule or even save it as the lock screen of their phone, carry with them each day to know which classes were coming up the next day or 2 days out. There was a pattern to how a class would move through the rotation, but it was not easily understood. This current 6-period day allows us to create what is known as a waterfall rotation, where the rotating class blocks follow this waterfall pattern through that 8-day cycle and provides more predictability to the pattern of the rotation. The basic structure of our current schedule is backed by research that indicates students need to break up their classes into chunks of 2 to 3 classes a day or at a time. Our schedule primarily utilizes a daily structure of 2 classes, a break, 2 classes, a break, and then 2 classes. Sometimes students in a class with first lunch will see 2 classes, a break, 1 class, a break for lunch, and then end the day with 3 periods, but the overall pattern remains the same. With an even number of classes, we can now group academic periods into pairs that travel through the rotation together. This is why half the periods are letters and half are numbers. A and 1 are grouped together as B and 2, C and 3, and D and 4 are. Classes will meet in the first 2 periods of the day. Then the next day they would move to the middle of the day. And finally, to the end of the day before not meeting on that 4th day of a cycle. That pair will then return to the start of the 5th day, but now the letters and numbers flip to allow for this full rotation of classes. And they continue to move in this waterfall, easily recognizable pattern. Previously, you can see classes moved in a less predictable pattern. That was tough for students to wrap their heads around over the course of even an entire year. Already in just a couple of weeks, students seem to be able to understand the flow and the pattern to this rotation. This is a major benefit we wanted to bring this school year. Our COVID dictated 2020-21 schedule resulted in a significant loss of class time. Classes only met about 50% of the school days. Prior to COVID, our classes met approximately 63% of the school days. In our return this year, we hope not only to reclaim that loss of time, but see if there was a way to increase the frequency of class time, which only aims to help our students through their learning of new material. The current schedule allows classes to meet 75% of the time. This has also resulted in a significant gain in overall instructional time while maintaining a school day that is still shorter than many other similar schools, only adding 10 minutes to the start of the day and 10 minutes at the end of the day. Some of the biggest questions around the transition to this year's schedule is to understand how it affects student homework load outside of the classroom. While a 6-class meeting per day appears, and it does, to create another 30 minutes or so of homework per night with an additional class, the increased frequency actually allows our faculty to break up homework assignments into smaller chunks. If the amount of homework in one cycle was previously broken into 5 chunks, that same amount can now be broken into 6 smaller units, which hopefully will serve to reduce nightly homework loads per class. An important point to make is that while classes see an additional 6 meetings per cycle in the new schedule, so do student free periods also have a 6th meeting. If a student is taking our normal 6 academic classes, then they will have typically 4 to 5 classes that meet a day and 1 or 2 free periods. So they will now have 2 additional hour-long free periods during the school day each cycle to get a head start on their homework. That leaves students with typically 1 to 2 hours per day of dedicated free time to work on homework before they leave school at 3:20. With so many of our students having a full after-school schedule, this time is critical in creating a balance in the evening and on the weekends. Our faculty are also continually in conversation with our students to assess how long homework assignments are taking them. Students should not have upwards of 3-4 hours of homework a night. If they're experiencing this, I encourage you to have your child talk to their teacher who can best make modifications to the assignments or prescribe solutions to help students reduce what really is an unrealistic amount of homework each night. I hope this video has helped provide some context around the new version of our schedule. I appreciate that the work our faculty and staff put in to research the schedule that we had prior to COVID and make these revisions that have resulted in our current version. All of this is aimed at benefiting the student experience. It's backed by academic research and it's a commonly used structure at other peer independent schools. Having taught in another school with a similar schedule, I can attest to the benefits for the student. As we launched the new version of this schedule, it was reassuring in a meeting prior to the start of the school year that we had with seniors when we put the schedule on the overhead and a girl in the front of the room gave an audible, appreciative sigh and said, it's a pattern, because she remembered the difficulty in understanding the flow of the rotation and the inability to easily say which classes were coming next in the next few days prior to COVID. My hope is that all of our students find this version of the schedule to be a useful and easy to understand structure to their learning day as we engage in the Randolph mission of seeking truth, building character, and nurturing all. Thank you to everyone who has helped the start of this school year be such the success that it has been, with all of the transitions and all the lingering pandemic protocols still in place. Have a great day.